Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Good morning. I'm pleased to inform you the American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime. We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained at our military bases.
And that's where that is. So nothing's happening. Apparently, there's a couple little rockets that have been fired into the green zone, but the reality is those are proxy. It's not Iran. Yesterday, the whole attack, people forget, oh God, it's over. It's a God. It's going to World War III. Nah. Now, Soleimani's dead. And if all that happened out of this is they attacked 2 bases, we were pre-warned before the Iranians talked to the Iraqis. You see where I'm going with this? Is that a good trade-off? We got arguably one of the most dangerous men on the planet and the most influential person potentially throughout the Middle East. And we removed him. And they fired 12 rockets, 4 of which didn't work, and there was no casualties. That seems like a fair trade. That's like trading Michael Jordan, right? You get Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Larry Bird, right? Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, and what'd you send back? A couple pairs of shoes that were used. That's kind of what it feels like. The question has been, though, was the entire premise of killing this guy a bunch of crap? Depends, right? Mark Meadows was out there today saying, no, I think this is what we see here was absolutely necessary. But when you hear Mike Lee, who is very conservative, and Rand Paul, they have a different take on it.
Probably the worst briefing I've seen, at least on a military issue, in the 9 years I've served in the United States Senate. It is not acceptable for officials within the executive branch of government, I don't care whether they're with the CIA, with the Department of Defense, or otherwise, to come in and tell us that we can't debate and discuss the appropriateness of military intervention against Iran. It's un-American, it's unconstitutional, and it's wrong.
Yeah. Now, are they mad at the administration? Are they mad at the intelligence? Depends on where you read. But they have a lot of questions. First and foremost, you're going back to 2002. You're looking at a 17-and-a-half-year-old act that they justify killing, Soleimani on. There's some questions there with Rand Paul in particular. People would like to know, what more intelligence do you have? We're in a secured room. Why aren't we getting the information you need? It seems like there was a lot of pushback. And there also seemed to be a situation where it's like, look, we got other things going on.
They had to leave after 75 minutes while they're in the process of telling us that we need to be good little boys and girls and run along and not debate this in public. I find that absolutely insane. I think it's unacceptable.
Yeah, and remember, this is a Republican. This is a Republican here. I want specifics, right? I want specifics. I want to know what exactly took place. What did we know? Because we need to know. We need to know. We should all need to know. There's no doubt in my mind that he was trying to do stuff, but was it an imminent danger? That's a different question altogether.
I went in there hoping to get more specifics as far as the factual, legal, moral justification for what they did. I'm still undecided on that issue, in part because we never got to the details. Every time we got close, it'd say, well, we can't discuss that here because it's really sensitive. We're in a skiff. We're in a secure underground bunker where all electronic devices have to be checked at the door, and they still refuse to tell us.
Well, first of all, let's be real. There's nothing. When I was talking to Congressman Schweiker last night, he said there is nothing that is secure ever. It just doesn't happen anymore. He was saying that he was in one of those. He's in the skiff and the whole 9 yards, and they're looking at something supposed to be classified. He says by the time he gets out, gets his phone, collects his stuff, he starts looking in the news. The stuff that was in there is already out in the public and the media, and I get that. But here's the thing. I always tell everybody, there is need to know, and if everybody else knew, bits and pieces not going to kill us. And then there's need to only a few people know, and it will never leave anybody's mind or lips outside of a certain few people, right? There's a difference. So we'll see what takes place. We're going to see what takes place. But again, there's no war, right? There's no war. Just want to let everybody know that. A lot of people last night were, oh my God, we're going to war. Is it, Esper has been going around saying things like this?
Soleimani was caught red-handed in regard to the intelligence. I can assure you that it's more than razor-thin and it's persuasive. Soleimani was caught red-handed on the ground in Baghdad. One terrorist leader of a terrorist organization meeting with another terrorist leader to synchronize and plan additional attacks on American forces, diplomats, or facilities. I think we took the right action to remove these players from the battlefield.
And, yeah, he was a terrorist, but he was also a general in a standing army in a country. Right? He had several different hats that he wore. At this moment in time, I think it is what it is. We're not going to get the whole truth at all. We're not going to get it. We're not going to get the thing that's going to satisfy everybody. Right? Because even the people on the right who support Trump at all costs, the worst case scenarios are like, well, we did get a really bad guy. He was an awful human being. We'd all agree with that. Yes, we can. Even people on the left go, yes, he was not a good person. But we just can't go around killing all the people we don't think are good people who do bad things. That's not what we're about. If the trade-off is, though, at the end of the day, we got a really bad person who's a huge influencer, in particular in a certain region with certain groups, out of there. And it may take them a long time to build up that kind of person again that has that kind of swag and cachet to rally and bring these groups together. Is it the worst thing? No. But is it a bad look? Don't look at it from the red, the blue, the America, this, that. Look at it from the political side and who we are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. With all of this going on, they're still trying to figure out what to do with their impeachment thing.
There are moderate Republicans who this idea of John Bolton testifying is appealing to them. Mitch McConnell knows that. What he was telling them, let's not talk about witnesses now. Let's put it off to the middle of the trial like we did in Clinton. So don't make a decision. We'll deal with the issue mid-trial. And so now what he's talking about doing is essentially going it alone with Republicans only, organizing the Senate around an impeachment trial based on the Clinton model.
Yeah, and here was the Clinton model. Break it down, Piers. 100 to nothing was the vote. They all agreed, right and left. 100 to nothing. We're going to get the articles of impeachment. They're going to be managers of the articles of impeachment. They're going to come down and lay everything out. Then we will hear from Trump's lawyers. Then the senators can question, answer, do their due diligence. Then they can decide, do we need more information? Do we need more people brought in to question? Or can we proceed? Some Democratic senators are saying to Nancy Pelosi, enough's enough. It's time to move forward. It's time to get this stuff together. Let's do this. Enough's enough. So we'll see. Mitch says he has enough votes. What does that mean? All he needs is enough. You just have to have essentially, 51 votes to get over the hump so we can say these are the rules and we're moving on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. You could text the program as well. And with all of that going on yesterday, in the midst of all of that, you had a plane crash 8 minutes after it left the airport in Tehran. A Ukrainian plane crashed, killing everyone on board. Now we're in a situation where, was it terrorism? Was it nobody knows at this moment in time? But it is a very nasty situation, and you would think automatically there's a plane that crashed in an area where there is what? Shellings going on from missiles taking off, being fired out of there from Iran to Iraq. And that's important because it has been 1988 was the last time they fired missiles into Iraq. Was it that? No, it was not that. Doesn't mean that there wasn't terrorism involved. But whatever happened, happened fast.
It appears that there was some catastrophic failure. That can be three things. An engine could blow up and blow apart the fuselage. There could be a bomb on board, or the possibility that it was shot down. We don't have any indication of either of those. We see that it disappeared from flight tracking, which suggests that catastrophic failure.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're not going to give the black. They're not going to share the black box. Tehran's got it. The Ukrainians, a good many of those people, I think it was 178 total. There was 63 or 64 Canadians on board, some British on board, some Ukrainians, all flying back to the Ukraine, and then from there on to Canada, some of them. And it's a horrific scene. And the only thing that came out of it was good is the plane, while it never got above 8,000 feet, did not crash into the pilot was able to do enough to get it to a field as opposed to crashing into houses. So who knows what's going to come out of this? And is it somebody underneath? I've always said that. Not worried anymore in that fuselage about all the people sitting together, as they fly along there. I'm not worried about that. But underneath, who's putting what under there? That's a fair question. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Raycon's amazing. Love them. Got mine. Get yours. E25's best model yet. Seamless Bluetooth. And I mean seamless. Amazing. Just boom. 6 hours of talk time, more bass. You're going to love these things. They've got all kinds. You got to see some of the crazy stuff they've got. But these E25s are absolutely amazing. They really are. They're incredible. And you got to jump on these things. Noise, isolating, fit. Phone calls are great. Ray J's put it together. These are built for anything that's Bluetooth enabled. Right? Like a lot of things with the stems and the wire, they're built for the look and the brand, but they're not built for the quality of sound that these are. You're going to love yours, and you're going to save huge. 15% right now, and they're already like half or a quarter of the price of all these other ones, and they're nowhere near as good. Grab yours today. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
So that Nick Sandman kid, remember him? Covington, Catholic. Guy's banging the drum. Nick's there. He's got his Make America Great Again hat on, and media destroyed him. He's evil. He's bad. White privilege, white supremacy, yada, yada, yada. CNN settled with him yesterday. Now, he's asking for $275 million. First of all, at $275 million, I believe you own CNN. Right? I believe at that point in time, right, they're coming over and just handing you the keys. Just saying, here, just make sure you lock up before you leave. I don't know what he got, but we were talking about off the air. They're like, well, what? How was things ruined? And I said, well, I mean, he was painted as this evil SOB, and that he went over and he confronted in the stories because it was just easy. And at this day and age, it's not, for a lot of people, it's just about being first. and very few people will follow through on a lawsuit. He did, and everybody's defended it. And remember, the originally Washington Post had theirs thrown out, and then another judge says, no, we're going to let him move forward with this. So I have a feeling they're going to settle. I don't know what kind of money he got, but we were talking about Richard Jewell. I mean, remember what they did to Richard Jewell, and the movie's out. Clint Eastwood direct, but they destroyed Richard Jewell's life. Essentially, they killed him along the way, if you will, slowly but surely. Wasn't a healthy dude anyways, but I mean, in a day and age with no social media, there wasn't even a way for him to fight back or to have it. I mean, it was, they branded him this and they destroyed him. And in this cancel culture, I said, yeah, you know what? You get branded as something sometimes in this cancel culture. We see what happens. We don't ever want you to work again. We never want you to do anything ever again. We want to destroy your life, period. That's what we want. And so that's I mean, I don't think he got, I mean, let's be real. If they came to his mom and dad and said, we'll give you $1 million, will you go away? What are you going to say? No, fool. Hell, you can take it. Now, we were joking. Let's say he got $5 million. I don't know what, can they get 30% is all they're allowed to get? I know some states you can get 20%. It's capped off at a certain level. Some it's 33 1/3. So who knows what the lawyers got. But in the end, the lawyers will win. So, and I think some other laws, he's got like 50 some other lawsuits, but it's not just him. There's several other Covington students that also sued that I wouldn't be surprised are going to take a few bucks out of this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from everyone. Check out the Instagram. And you go to thechadshow.com. We have the podcast right there. You can grab it. It's absolutely free. And if you have a chance, grab yesterday's podcast if you haven't and listen to Dan Gabriel, the director of Mosul and the former CIA counterterrorism officer from the CIA, talk about a lot of what we were talking about yesterday and how right he was in so much of this stuff. And he's very interesting to listen to. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Take it. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The assessments about the justification for the killing, that there was imminence to an attack, I think are not credible.
Nope.
The president has lied many, many thousands of times to the American people. So structurally, you can't imagine, I think, a worse president, a worse possible leader to stand at the head of America's armed forces at this very dangerous moment.
Oh, Steve Schmidt. No relation to Mike. Mike, better baseball player. Is he the worst president of all time? I was like, this is the worst president in the history of presidents. I'm like, really? So you've known all of the presidents. So every one of the presidents you've known. And you've been in there and you've lived under their lead as they've led the country. And this is absolutely the worst. You can say that without a fact. Trump today talking about Iran.
Tens of thousands of ISIS fighters have been killed or captured during my administration. ISIS is a natural enemy of Iran. The destruction of ISIS is good for Iran, and we should work together on this and other shared priorities. Finally, to the people and leaders of Iran, we want you to have a future, one of prosperity at home and harmony with the nations of the world. The United States is ready to embrace peace with all who seek it. I want to thank you, and God bless America.
There we go. We were saying earlier, it would have been great if he would have said that. So he goes through the whole thing, right? Like that whole spiel that he just did. And finished with God bless America. But where he comes out, if you see it, It's got the door, the oak door, and you've got Pence and Pompeo, and you've got the military people, and then you've got the flags, right? If none of that was real, and it was just like this facade, and it just opened up, and Lee Greenwood is just proud to be, oh my God. Would that have not just been like, that's it, he's got my vote? But he's the worst president ever. Pfft. I guarantee you, though, you go back through all the other presidents, they didn't do that. You're not taking this serious. It's hard to take things seriously when it's all insanity, right? I was with somebody today, great lady, and her and I were talking, and she's liberal. We were chatting away. And she said, She said, because we're talking about, the crazies on both sides, right? And it's funny because depending on how you listen, you think that of me. You think somebody just said, well, I can't listen to Chad. He's horrible because he's a crazy right-wing InfoWars. Hey, that's not very fair. Ambo, settle down. I know. Sorry, dude. I didn't say it. Conspiracy theorists. I'm like, oh, totally. That's all I am. But I said, look, the right has their crazies, right? Both sides have their crazies. But the left the sky is always falling at this moment in time. And it was like that for a little while with Obama, right? Like the world's coming to an end. We're all going to Sharia law. But then it went away slowly but surely, and we all got on with our lives. I think the right handled it better. I thought this would end after a year. And it hasn't. It's just growing. Just growing and growing and growing. And I understand you don't like him. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's not the average Democrats going about their day who's over this stuff and just wants to get to November and vote and see what happens from there. No, those are the far extremes. But those are the ones who make the most noise. Always the ones who make the most noise. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Your love, your hate, whatever you've got. Feel free to do it. I will listen and do the best I possibly can. Yesterday, great article at CNN. It was an article they picked up, but it was an interesting article about somebody who works with Facebook, and they feel like, this person in particular feels like Trump was elected because of them. And the reality is Facebook played probably the biggest role in so many ways with Trump. And Trump is the biggest customer maybe they've ever had. And that's why this debate's going on. And then Facebook and many other social programs out there, whether it's, God knows, I don't know how many millions there are now. It's like every day they're saying, are you on Flippity Flop? Are you on TikTok? Are you on Blanc Blanc? Are you on that? I'm like, I'm not on any of those. Should I be? But the deep fakes are here.
Facebook is taking a shot. At deepfakes. Those are videos made using artificial intelligence that are created to make it look like someone is trying to say something they never said. The social network announcing a ban, but ABC News senior multimedia producer Fergal Gallagher says it's a ban on something relatively rare.
It might be something that we see more in the future as it becomes more pervasive technology, but really I don't think it's a massive issue. And Facebook banning this, while we should welcome it, it's really not going to have a huge impact on the amount of disinformation out there ahead of 2020.
No, and I have seen it firsthand. Some of the insanity of the disinformation and what people believe, and it's so weird because what it is too, as I try to explain it, is people who start the spread of this disinformation, they know it's disinformation. They're only feeding it to people who are gullible, and that's on both sides. And a lot of times, even you'll get some of it right, a little bit of it right, and then the rest of it's all baloney. Case in point, Australia, perfect example, disinformation. So you have what's going on over in Australia, and you go look at some of the right-wing websites, and it's 138 people arrested for this, that, and the other, right? For arson. No, here's what happened, really. A lot of those people arrested pre the fires, during the drought season, Many of them were arrested for flicking a cigarette, being camping and starting a campfire in a place where you weren't allowed to start a campfire. Now, there were 24 people arrested after the fires had started for starting other fires, including one who happened to be a firefighter who I guess wanted to be a hero. But it wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth. And the way it was spun was, this is what it's all about right here. It's nuts. Now, I do wonder why the 24 arsonists had gone out and done some of the stuff that they done, like they were at some sort of like convention or like a meeting, right? Like Arson Anonymous. And they're just like, we can't stop. And they're, let's do it. And there's some questions there to some of the motives. But most of them were things like starting a fire in a no-fire zone, smoking a cigarette, and then flicking it. And that happened not this past month. That happened in November, early December. So, again, they take something and they run with it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. It's simple and easy. Love hearing from every single one of you. When I read this article about the Facebook thing, I was intrigued in so much as this guy can't stand Trump, wants to do everything to make sure that Trump doesn't win. And it was very like, that's the way a lot of people feel about. It's funny because conservatives, and in a lot of ways, I mean, we get it all the time. I mean, I'm anything but, or you can call me whatever you want. I'm not some crazy loon right wing. I have some conservative ideas. I have some liberal ideas. I love my country more than anything else. I was so blessed that I got to live in other countries because I saw how amazing our countries is and how amazing those countries were. And it's an amazing opportunity to do that. I was talking to Jennifer today, and we were chatting about, she's lived in other countries. And I said, it's just the greatest education you can ever get. 4 years of school will not do what 1 year of living abroad in really immersing yourself, not as a tourist, but as a person. It's incredible. But it gives you an appreciation for what you have. And it really does. And the funny thing is, I as I'm reading this article, right? Like I'm reading this article and the conservatives are just, I get why conservatives get frustrated because I'm not a lunatic in any way, shape, or form, not a flamethrower. Trust me. Do you know how much easier it is? I could wake up every day. I could pick two stories. I could go super crazy. I could build up a crazy lunatic audience, and I don't want any part of that. I've talked about it before with my pals Armstrong and Getty, my buddy Gatos. We've chatted on numerous occasions how it's easy to play a part, and that's just not who I am. It's not genuine. But as angry as the conservatives get, and like I said, we've been suspended we got suspended like a month ago. Anthony and I were chatting about over a picture that was in like Time magazine that they thought we altered or something that wasn't it. And then but the conservatives don't realize that Trump used that media platform, the social media world, to build his campaign in a way that's never been done before. Right? It's amazing. And as frustrated as the liberals get with the fact that their platform is being used by people that they do not like or care for, and their followers they do not like or care for, the reality is not only pays the bills, but this is the price of living in a free society, that we have some of these opportunities to do this. And you've opened it up for everybody. And it still may piss you off, but the tools that you guys helped build, they were used to promote a guy that you can't stand. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. You can text the program. I did not watch the Jeopardy Championship. I know what's going on. I think it's going on again tonight. We're going to talk about that because it's so interesting, because I was like, who's this guy out of the three guys that are playing in the Super Grand Champion thing? And wait till you hear who this guy is. It was so interesting. Hey, election time, not too far away. What are we, like 10 and a half months away from election? Good God. That's close. Do you have any organizations out there fighting for you? How about this? AMAC will. Association of Mature American Citizens. Fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. They're out there fighting for you and your values. Social Security reform, immigration reform, Medicare reform, making sure those things are solvent. Finding common sense immigration reform that works. Not for one side, but for everybody. They're fighting for you. On top of that, they got great benefits. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, and so much more. Now you can join for free. Free. 1 year, it's on me. Go to amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1617. That's 888-355-1617 or amac.us/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, and double fui.
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
I played my best out there, but Fortuna was not on my side, and Ken played great, obviously, and boy, those two are tough.
Yeah, Ken Jennings. Crushed it. So I was trying to figure out, so they got the greatest of all time thing going on. And I'm like, okay, I know who Holzhauer is, right? We know who Ken Jennings is. The Brad Ruttner guy? I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. So you got the three of them. And so, because I'm not I don't watch game shows, because I'm not 100. But I'm like, who is this guy? Like, so I do a little recon. So here are the biggest winning game show contestants of all time. Number 5 is Kevin Olmstead. He won $2.2 million, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? He won $2.1 million, and he won $27,000 on Jeopardy, right? Andrew Kravis, number 4. He won $2.65 million. He won $2.6 million on the million-second quiz. Don't know what that is. Wheel of Fortune. Heard of that. He won $5,000 on Jeopardy, and he won $1,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I don't know how you get on this many shows. James Holzhauer, we all know him from last year, his big run, right? 33-episode run. He won $58,000 from The Chase, but he also won $2.7 million from Jeopardy. Ken Jennings, number 2. $714 on 1 versus 100. Is that a fight? Is that a wrestling thing? Because you know, really, unless you're Andre the Giant. I got a great Andre the Giant story. I'll tell you guys off the air, though. You can't tell it on the air. You guys would love it, though. He won $700. He won $100,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Ken Jennings. Grand Slam, don't know what it is. $100,000. Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? To the tune of $500,000. He won $3.52 million on Jeopardy. His run was 75 episode run, and he stayed in the limelight. Brad Ruttner beats them all. He won almost $5 million, including $4.78 million on Jeopardy, but he did it in 2000 when it first started, and he was in 2002, and he did before it took off. If he did that today, he'd be bigger than all of them. But I had no idea who he was. I'd never heard of him before. So they've got another one today, but Ken Jennings is, I believe Ken is when I watch it all, I think Holzhauer just had he's really smart, but he also had there was a system. Ken Jennings, I think, is, of them all, he's just the smartest of them all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. The Oscars. Guess who's hosting it this year? Not Ricky Gervais.
Last year's hostless Oscars saw a sizable bump in the ratings after a couple of years of steady decline, so once again, no host.
Together with the Academy, we have decided that there will be no traditional host again this year.
ABC Entertainment President Kerry Burke made the announcement at the Television Critics Association Winter Press Tour. Last year's show was up 11.5% in total audience. Nearly 30 million people watched after the show hit an all-time low in 2018. This year, she says to expect
huge entertainment value, big musical numbers, big comedy, and star power.
ABC will also air the Emmys this year. Asked about a possible host for that, Burke joked,
Baby Yoda.
Ah, Baby Yoda. Who's not a baby, apparently. That's what I've been told, right? Is that what we're hearing? He's not a baby? It's just not full grown? Is that it? I don't know why they would even say that. I was reading something. They're like, Baby Yoda's not a baby. That somebody was telling me that, like, Phil, you were telling me the other day that if you go and look, we were joking about things science haven't figured out or solved yet, and we were talking about why do people who wear the red uniform on Star Trek get killed, and you're like, if you go and look and talk to Star Trek people, there's actually no color that gets killed more than the other, and I'm like, who does that research? Who? Why? But I guess it's no different than sports, right? Right? You know? Did you know, like, sports, we don't hammer guys for sports knowledge, like, you know, who was the third baseman in 1976 for the New York Yankees. And it was like, oh, it's Greg Nettles or Bucky Dent or blah, blah. We don't hammer, you know, he hit 273. We don't do that for that. But for nerd stuff, we think, oh, you're a dork. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Taking Soleimani out, he was the most dangerous terrorist in the world. The Department of Defense has told us that he was directly responsible for the deaths of at least 603 U.S. servicemen and women. He had directed terror groups across the globe, including Hamas, including Hezbollah, targeting Americans, targeting civilians, and taking him out has made America safer.
That's true. I mean, let's not. Here's the one thing that is honest, and I like honesty here. Do I think that the Trump administration, that there was immediate and danger that was coming? I don't know, because today's briefing went super south really fast. Do I think any of I don't know. And we'll touch on that in a second. We can all agree this was a bad dude, all right? We need to be, here's the thing. We need to be better always as a nation. That's just the way it is. We need to be better. As a country, as a nation, we do need to be better. Doesn't mean we won't make mistakes, right? Doesn't mean. Is this so far working out to be somewhat of a win for the president? Absolutely. Why is that? The bad guy's gone, and the reprisal that came from Iran was nothing. It wasn't. And by all accounts, we knew it was coming. The Iraqis were forewarned. They told us that they knew they would. The back channel had already been set up, and that this was going to be essentially, all right, we've showed you what we can do, so let's try to move on. But we do need to be better. We can't, if we're not going to walk the walk, right, then we shouldn't talk the talk. Doesn't mean we'll make mistakes, right? Especially in the world of spying and espionage, and you're dealing with people who are bad people that we're trying to deal with, who are also bad people, and we're trying to find out other certain I mean, that's the reality of this. So what information there was, I don't know. But by all accounts, it was not a great information day and briefing.
Probably the worst briefing I've seen, at least on a military issue, in the 9 years I've served in the United States Senate. It is not acceptable for officials within the executive branch of government, I don't care whether they're with the CIA, with the Department of Defense, or otherwise, to come in and tell us that we can't debate and discuss the appropriateness of military intervention against Iran. It's un-American, it's unconstitutional, and it's wrong.
That's Mike Lee. That's not some crazy left-wing lunatic who hates Trump at all costs. That's Mike Lee, a Republican. Very conservative. Utah. He's upset by the way this whole thing went down. It's upset with the administration, upset with this entire situation, upset that there was a time limit.
They had to leave after 75 minutes while they're in the process of telling us that we need to be good little boys and girls and run along and not debate this in public. I find that absolutely insane. I think it's unacceptable.
Yeah. I think so, too. I want to know why. I'm not saying there wasn't a reason, but by all accounts, it doesn't seem to be that we're getting all of it. Now, if you all know this, like we all know this, nothing stays secret. That's not death coming for you. Go to prison forever. Nothing will ever stay secret in D.C. I mean, there's real secrets where you're like, look, 4 people know about it, and we killed 3 of them, and so is the. I mean, there's certain secrets. There's certain secrets. Those things will never get out. But the reality is you could say we're in this room. It's a skiff room. We had to give up all of our stuff. Last night I talked to Congressman Schweiker. I've talked to several other congresspeople on both sides of the aisle, and they've all said the same thing. They've gone to these things, and within minutes and hours, the stuff that's in there has come out, and I'm learning more about it from the media than I did inside of there. So there's not always that perfect, oh, it's a need-to-know thing. We're going to give you guys this. But no, we should know. Damn Skippy. I don't care who's president, right or left, you should want to know what was done that put us potentially at more risk. And was that reward worth it? Right now, it seems to be like, okay. You know, the trade-off was we killed one of the most wanted men, even though he was a general. Let's be real. Most of this bidding was done by proxy wars set up by the likes of Hezbollah and many others. So while he had the flag, he was as much a terrorist as he was a freedom fighter. In saying that, we should know, how real was this? How real was this? We have every right to know. The stuff that, and by us knowing, I don't mean you and I and everybody knowing exact details, but the powers that be that represent you and I, they're the extension of you and I, have every right to know. Where they can come out and go, we can't get into it, but absolutely, this was the right thing to do. And today, I don't think we got those answers. I don't. I will say this. I thought President Trump this morning came out. I thought he delivered something that was very steady. I think it was very measured. I like the way he ended it.
Tens of thousands of ISIS fighters have been killed or captured during my administration. ISIS is a natural enemy of Iran. The destruction of ISIS is good for Iran, and we should work together on this and other shared priorities. Finally, to the people and leaders of Iran, we want you to have a future, one of prosperity at home and harmony with the nations of the world. The United States is ready to embrace peace with all who seek it. I want to thank you, and God bless America.
God bless America. I liked it. I like the way he did. Now, I don't know if I believe him or not. I don't know if I believe all. Look, I believe him when he talked about that we didn't have anybody killed, there was nobody injured, that it was proportional. We need to all calm down, and I believe that. Do I believe the rest of it? I don't know. And we should absolutely question our leaders, and we should do it over and over again. And the people that matter the most are the people that are, quote, unquote, on your side should be the ones that question the most. Because the other side's going to question everything you do all the time, right? And they're going to criticize everything you do all the time. Because either they don't like it or it worked and it hurts their side from getting back into power. So you should question, right? And I'm glad that Mike Lee and them came out. 323-538-2423. Well, it sounds like they came out. They didn't come out like that, Chad. Jeez. Text the program. Love hearing from each and every single one of you. It's a sad day in the world of the Royals. I was joking about this with the Royals. So I'm like, they're cutting back. I'm like, from what? Right? Like, Well, they're cutting back, Chad. The Royals, like they're not going to be doing royally things like they used to. They're scaling back. Again, from what?
Prince Harry and Meghan announced their intention to take smaller roles within the royal family, no longer being senior royals, and that they wanted to divide their time between North America and the UK. It comes after a Christmas-time holiday in Canada, where Meghan has spent much of the last 10 years filming Suits. The two have struggled with negative press coverage, often with racist undertones. While Harry has grown up with the conventions of royal duties, Meghan has struggled to adapt, both coming under criticism for recent lavish holidays and travelling by private jet, unusual behaviour for British royals.
Yeah. Heard they're going to move to Canada as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on. They're scaling back. I'm all, from what? There's a lot of shaking hands. I couldn't do that. I don't want any part of that. Right? Like, I don't want to shake a million people's hands. Right? I don't want to go to horribly boring cocktail parties. I mean, we see all the Instagrams and all the pictures, and they're here, and then, they're in Barbados this week, or they're here. But there's a lot of stuff that I would want zero part of, right? That would be just, I'll pass. No. I don't want to mix with the common folk, or any folk. Not common or otherwise. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us, love hearing from you. A little what's trending, straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Rent free.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? What do you think's trending on the old interwebs? Lots of crap, I'm sure. I always look at Twitter and sometimes it's crazy. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is trending right now. Says 2020 is off to a fine start and I'm cancer-free. That's good. God bless her. Right? I don't care what you say. You're a horrible human being, Chad. How dare you, blah, blah, blah. You know what? What that woman has seen, what that woman has been through, how bright she is, she's a pioneer. God bless her. That right there is good to hear. She's not. We were talking earlier today before even any of this came out, where she's like, she's still got a trainer, man. She's working out. She isn't going anywhere. She's going to stay around as long as she can. As long as she can. Party of Five trending. Why tonight is the series premiere. And it's got a little politics in it. It does? Oh, yeah, it does. What's the politics, you ask? Well, it's simple. Instead, the first one, Phil, isn't it the mom and dad are killed in a car crash?
They're killed by a drunk driver, yeah.
A drunk driver. This one is mom and dad is deported. So that's this one. So be prepared to be prepared. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited not to watch. I don't even know what channel it's on. Let's take a look. What's it on? What do you think? Is it on one of those like Freeform? It is on Freeform. Look at that. I totally guessed that. I had no idea. Look at that. Adderall. Why? Because Trump slurred. So Adderall apparently is why he was slurring. I'm like, really? Like, that's where they go. Talk about the crazies out there. That's insane. Let's go over to Google. Google's fun. Google's a good time. What's trending over there in the world of Google? Which is, again, a little bit more pop culture-y. Right? Meghan Markle and them, that's doing it. Lyme disease. Justin Bieber reveals he's battling Lyme disease. Right? So MSNBC is trending right now because apparently they are not going with what the U.S. said. They are apparently quoting the casualties by the U.S. provided by the Iranians. Elvis Presley would have turned 85 today. Charlie Rose is trending because he's admitted to having some workplace relationships. It's not why you're in trouble. Just that's not why you were in trouble. And Lizzo and Jillian Michaels are trending. And the reason is Jillian Michaels, of course, the famed Biggest Loser. And, she's pretty fit. And it's been hard on people who are a little bit larger and the celebration of body positivity in the way that people are celebrating it now. Was on the AM to DM BuzzFeed, and they asked her about Lizzo.
I personally found I love celebrities like Lizzo or Ashley Graham who are really preaching self-acceptance.
I love her music.
Yeah.
100%. I don't know anything about her. I'm sure she's a cool, awesome chick.
Yeah, and I love that they're putting images out there that we normally don't get to see, of bodies that we don't get to see being celebrated. And
why are we celebrating her body? Why does it matter? That's what I'm saying. Like, why aren't we celebrating her music? Because it isn't going to be awesome if she gets diabetes.
Well, I want to ask you...
I'm just being honest. Like, I love her music. Like, my kid loves her music. But there's never a moment where I'm like, and I'm so glad that she's overweight. Like, why do I even care? Well, why is it my job to care about her weight?
I have to say...
I agree with her, right? You can't just admire somebody and, people fire back and attack her. Oh, you're body shaming or is she just... People are going after Adele right now, right? Not going after, it's totally different, right? Because Adele has lost a ton of weight and it's very shocking to a lot of people that she's lost so much weight. And people are wondering, is she healthy? There's, oh my God, it's like, is she becoming Karen Carpenter? Those kind of things. And there's a concern there. But if you're overly big, there's like no concern. And you can't say anything. Right? We'll be really upset if you die because you're too thin. But we will not say anything if you die because you're 800 pounds. What? Go over that again, Chad. All right. If you're too thin, right, and you're uber thin, and all of a sudden, something was to happen, people aren't going to say it. Maybe people close, but nobody would say it in public, right? Because that'd be bad. Fans are concerned about Adele. Oh, which, by the way, I find to be weird. If I saw my favorite celebrity, who's since passed away, James Arnaz, Gunsmoke. But, I would have said, I would never even thought to, I'm so concerned for you. But some people do, I guess. That's great. But we wouldn't say anything. We would be worried. But nobody's worried about people who are grossly overweight. And I don't know what Lizzo weighs. I'm not privy to such information. And, or other people. I mean, we're celebrating. We have that show, right? What is it? What is it? Fat and Hot? Is that what it is? Was that? I don't know if that's the name of the show.
Hot and Heavy.
Hot and Heavy. What did I say?
Fat and Hot.
I like mine better. Fat and frisky. But if you say anything, people are like, you're a horrible, disgusting, vile human being. How dare you do something like that? Well, we don't care if that person eats themselves to death. But heaven forbid. I mean, we'll be totally celebrating that. Oh, they're happy with their body. And it's so weird the way that this world is nowadays. Now, I don't think she said anything wrong. She goes, we won't be celebrating her if she gets diabetes. No, we'll probably champion her another way. It's another thing to put by her. And I like Lizzo, right? I'll be honest. If she came in here right now, I would recognize that big song. My son loves her. But if she came in right now, I don't know if I'd recognize her. But that's only because I'm not a hip, cool cat. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Am I wrong? I mean, isn't it weird, though? Would we say anything in today's world about Karen Carpenter compared to somebody else who potentially would eat themselves to death? It's a good question. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Tens of thousands of ISIS fighters have been killed or captured during my administration. ISIS is a natural enemy of Iran. The destruction of ISIS is good for Iran, and we should work together on this and other shared priorities. Finally, to the people and leaders of Iran, we want you to have a future, one of prosperity at home and harmony with the nations of the world. The United States is ready to embrace peace with all who seek it. I want to thank you, and God bless America.
God bless the USA. You know what would have been great? All right, Phil, picture this, right? As Trump starts to finish it, we realize that door he walked through, it's just a facade. It's actually that the other door was, and it starts to come up. So all of it starts to come up, and you realize it's, oh my God, it's not real. And behind it is Lee Greenwood. And he's singing. That would be such a Trump thing. Oh, God, I would love that. That would have got my vote. How can you vote for him? Did you see the whole thing with Iran, and all of a sudden, as he started to go into it, you started to hear this music in the back. You remember that? Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's why. No war. World War III is not coming. I hate to disappoint everybody that was so excited about it. If somebody would have come up to me and said, like, they're 19 or 20 or so, because we have interns around here. They're all in their, late teens to early to mid-20s. And we have a lot of young employees, young reporters and stuff. And they would have said, do I need to register? I would have said, you've failed your first test. So no, please don't. But the trade-off of getting rid of a very bad individual and having 12 missiles fired, 4 of them didn't work. If that's the trade-off, that's a win for the president. Now, the briefing, you've got the Republicans, one of them saying, he made the right call. Does everybody feel that way? Here's my thing. I don't know how anybody truly feels. So you could say, well, Trump doesn't tell the truth. Well, how many of them tell the truth? Well, Trump really lies. Well, Trump's, you can hate him or like him, but you know what he feels, and you know what he goes out and says. I don't know how people really feel. I don't know what they're seeing and whether or not I can believe any of them on either side, and whether or not what they're telling us is the truth and how they would really like to vote on something or not vote on something and what they really feel. Because they're all only going to give you the answer that fits the narrative of them getting reelected.
I believe there was no rationale that could pass a graduate school thesis test. I was, utterly unpersuaded.
That right there was Jerry Conley on Soleimani's death. This is Mark Meadows.
I think it leaves little doubt in my mind, and certainly should leave little doubt in any member's mind, that not only did the president make the right call, but that this was a clear and present danger for American interest and American individuals.
Now, who do I believe? Right? Who do I believe? I don't know who to believe as they get debriefed with all this stuff, right? You got a Republican and Democrat who are looking at information, both giving you what? The answer that their bases want to hear, but is that the actual truth? One of them's lying. Maybe both of them are lying. Maybe there wasn't a clear and imminent danger, but at the same time, there was definitely danger. Either way, it's hard. You got to disseminate all this crap anymore, right? You've just got to try to figure it. So you just play to your base, right? At this point in time, this is what politicians are doing. Low-hanging fruit, right? That's all you do. Just go for the low-hanging fruit. There's no the rationale, discussion, none of that stuff it's just the low-hanging fruit, because that's it. It's the easiest thing to do. It is. It's sad, but true. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. It was interesting during the holidays. You probably had no idea who he was, what he was about, what took place. His name is Carlos Ghosn. He's a former head dude at Nissan. And he was indicted on criminal charges and arrested in November of 2018. Right? So they did all those investigations on him for all kinds of nefariousness that went on with Nissan. So, and there's just, I mean, it's just, it reads all kinds of stuff, right? Like, I mean, you know, the investigations that they're looking at with, and this guy, I mean, he ran like big time, like Renault and you know, Nissan Alliance, Michelin. I mean, this dude started and he worked his way up. So here you got a guy that is the top of his game, running a very large company, and they arrest him in Tokyo. Had to do with, you know, again, moving money from here to there. There's all kinds of stuff. So they arrest him, put him in jail. Then they let him out on bail, and he's under house arrest. Right? He's going to be on trial. Then on the 30th of December, he disappears. Next thing you know, he shows up in Beirut.
Let us not forget that I was facing a system where the conviction rate is 99.4%. And I will bet you that this number is much higher for the foreigners.
Yeah. So here's a guy who is a well-traveled individual. He's French, Lebanese, and Brazilian. Those are his nationalities. He is in Beirut, and people are still trying to figure out exactly what happened. So what they're thinking happened is he jumped bail. And he holds this, you know, this press conference today to talk about, you know, there's no way. And they don't have a treaty for extradition in Lebanon. So the chances of him ever going back to Tokyo to face justice is slim to none. What they think happened on the 30th of December is people arrived at his apartment. Two men. There was a jet waiting for him. Two men and a third man, they presume him, go into a hotel near the Kasani International Airport. Then two men leave carrying a large container that, quote unquote, had audio equipment. And they think this is where he was hiding out. And then off they go on a private plane, a Bombardier Global Express private jet with Turkish registration. The box carrying Ghosn was never x-rayed. They believe an official kind of went wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Again, when you have money and you have power, you can make things happen. It lands in Istanbul, and then within an hour, it's on its way. Another plane's on its way privately with him on board for Beirut. And an employee at the Turkish private jet operators admitted to falsifying passenger records. And then he arrives in Lebanon, and that's where he's at. It is so insane. The whole thing is insane. And he, you know, he's, of course, like everybody, he's innocent. And this is it. He's totally innocent. And he feels like, hey, this was the right thing to do.
I did not escape justice. I fled injustice and persecution, political persecution.
Yeah, that's where he's going with now. Political persecution. But it's so weird because you've got a guy that has escaped. So this is not somebody like a known criminal that's the underworld that's hiding. This is a guy who ran a very large company, Nissan, who was arrested, went super stealth, had guys sneak him out of a country into another country that he happens to be a citizen of. And then he holds a press conference.
You just confess and it will be over. And if you don't confess, not only we're going to go after you, we're going to go after your family. And we're going to discover many things.
Oh. It's just nuts. It's so bizarre. I mean, again, the whole thought process of that. But it's like, with Epstein, right? And if you guys watched this past week, 60 Minutes did a great thing on that. But that whole thing is, if you got means, the things that can go on and things that you're able to do, the way that you're able to maneuver. Did anybody ever see him in court? The perp walk? Did anybody? All of it's just, why was he taken off suicide watch? There's so many things that you could ask questions of. And when you look around, this guy was the head of a major organization. I'd seen him 100 times on Fox Business and CNBC and all over stuff. And here he is, just disappeared, gone. Total crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Isn't that nuts? That's just, boom. Of course, you've got the means, right? And don't tell me that the Lebanese government and the Turkish government didn't know that this was happening. They'll, I didn't know. Yeah, everybody knows. Come on now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Wounded Paw, amazing organization. As we talk about what's going on in Iran and Iraq, you sometimes forget we still have soldiers in Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, and throughout the region there and all over the globe. And many of them are coming home and they're facing tough times. They got PTSD. They're struggling and they're looking for something. And sometimes it's something as simple as a service dog. And that's where Wounded Paw comes in. Their mission is simple, connecting their furry best friends with our nation's heroes. Their motto, save a paw, is to save a life. And they are. They've combined their love of dogs and their dedication to helping veterans, first responders, and their family. It is amazing what they're doing. And they're looking for help. What kind of help? Simple. Gift. Could be cash. Could be a vehicle. Maybe you got a vehicle that you're not using and you're thinking to yourself, I was going to get rid of it. Why not donate it? This is the place to do it. Great tax-deductible gift. And what it will do is truly save a paw to save a life. Because they go in and they rescue shelter dogs and turn them into service dogs. And it is amazing to see the benefits to both the dog and to the families, the veterans, the first responders that receive this animal. It's incredible. Call today, 844-6784-PAW, to find out how you can donate. That's 844-678-4729. Or go to woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
We don't always use our heads when choosing brands.
90% of decisions that consumers make are made from the heart.
Marketing expert Ann Candido says the most successful brands appeal to our emotions. She calls it the brand love connection and says it's not good enough these days just to be the best anything.
It's not good enough just to fulfill a need. You have to be able to tap in to that emotional benefit.
Candido says luxury brands, especially higher-end auto companies, do this particularly well by making consumers feel special if they buy them.
Yeah, of course. Always. Right? But emotion, we talk about, right? Like that's sales. You know? Like kids. Like people who love Apple, they're emotionally tied to Apple. I have a phone here that's an Android. I've had it for 2 years. It's on the blink. It's kind of, I have no attachment to it. I have zero attachment to it. Zero. I just don't. But my son's got an iPhone. He lives for Apple. He's brand and that's a big thing. Like, because emotion, it's like politics, right? What do we do in politics? How do we sell it? It's all psychology. It's about grabbing that emotion, getting you to react to it. And you build up that brand loyalty. That's why we were talking earlier about with breakdancing in there and all these other sports, like, and producer Phil and I were talking. He's like, well, why would you got the X Games. Why would you want to do the Olympics? Because it's about also building your brand. The Olympics give you the opportunity to grow the brand. Like Shaun White, the Flying Tomato. He built a brand. He was a great skateboarder, one of the best in the world. A great snowboarder, one of the best in the world. But he was known within that world. He became a superstar and built a brand. Right? It's about and that's what you do if you are a company. You want to build a brand. You want to be that's my son is obsessed with Supreme. Do you know what Supreme is, Phil? You know what that is? Are you hip?
No clue.
Clothing company. Supreme. Nothing special. Oh my God. The amount of money for a t-shirt or for a hoodie. It's huge. So yeah, I can see that. And you make an emotional decision. Right? You make that emotional decision. What's the emotion? I'm going to make that decision based on this. And Apple, I think, to me, is one of the ones that have built up such a massive brand. Like that thing's like this. There's just some people I've used both, and that's, to me, it's just a way to get on the internet and to do the things I need to do. And like some people are so they just live. Like they'll look at you, they're like, what do you have? And I'm like, I got an Android. Oh, really? Like something's wrong with me. It's like, oh, like settle down. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. 75% of men feel more confident with facial hair. It's according to a new study. They feel more confident. Probably because they look like they feel like they're tougher and cooler because they've been emasculated in so many ways now that gives them a little something. Feel tougher. I feel tougher. In fact, some people they would love to do. They'd be willing to trade all kinds of stuff. Right? They'd be willing to give up sex for a while. Spend a night in prison. Give up coffee for a full year to have better facial hair. Some, this is the craziest of all, would be willing to stand in line at the DMV. 38% would, to get the perfect beard. Bunch of weirdos. By the way, just to let you know, I can grow a beard in 5 minutes. Oh, Chad, you're crazy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Good morning. I'm pleased to inform you the American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime. We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained at our military bases.
It's a flock of seagulls. Mike Score, former hairdresser, by the way. Before that, Donald Trump. I like how he says, no one was harmed in the making of this. In the making of this, nobody was harmed in the making of this. I thought he was very presidential today. And can we just say this, right? Like, take away the craziness and the greatness of the flock of seagulls, and we can debate that all day. Very underrated, flock of seagulls. Is this a win for the president? I mean, honestly. If all that comes out of this, right, is we killed a really bad dude who was very influential in the region, who helped fight proxy wars all over the place to spread the tentacles of the Islamic Republic of Iran and the higher-ups and what they would like to do, who, by some accounts, I talked to Congressman David Schweikert last night, who said as they were going over some of the report that they had gotten, they got a very small kind of snapshot of it. Soleimani had anywhere between 500 and 600,000 deaths on his hands. If all that came of this as far as their retaliation is, they fired not very good missiles, by the way, not very accurate. 4 of the 12 didn't even work. Very limited damage. That was all completely known, set up before they even fired anything. Where the Iraqis were told through a back channel, as were the Americans, that this is probably what's going to happen. And from there, do what you guys need to do. And we want to show a force. And this is very important because we're shooting it from here. We haven't shot anything from Iran to Iraq since 1988. And if all that comes of this is this, and we got rid of that guy, you may have a disdain for the president of the United States. You may hate his guts because you hate everything that he's about. He's a womanizer. He's a cheat. All of those things you could say. At the end of the day, that's a win. That's a win. Sorry. That's a win. We were never going to war. We were never going to war. A couple of my sources last night, when all this is going on, said we were texting back and forth, and they were like, we already knew it was coming. We knew exactly what it was going to be. We knew where it was going to be. The only thing they said they didn't know was how was Iraq going to take it. And by the way, their prime minister today took a hard stance in saying, don't do this again. You're firing your missiles into our country. Don't do this again. But everybody knew it was coming. And when I said it yesterday, there's back channels. There's always back channels. Iraq, Iran, there's always people behind the scenes who play a bigger role in all of this. Brian Suit said last night that Secret Dark Place, great, good dude. He said that, Trump had I think he said he had one speech written, and it was, to get revenge. I think he said on, Corporal Tentpole. Just made up a name, and he says, that didn't happen because everybody knew what was coming. And so, this is it. Now, the proxy stuff may come, but that was probably going to come anyways. Those are the little skirmishes and the things where they will, fight and God knows what militia they are. Yeah, that was going to happen anyways. Hence the reason why we went after this bad dude. But if all that comes of this incident here is we traded off 12 missiles, 4 of which didn't work, that were predetermined to hit these areas, and we got an advance warning, a la the IRA back in the day. IRA used to do that in Britain a lot of times. They would call in bombings before they happened because they didn't want blood on their hands, but they wanted to do stuff. So everybody knew what was coming. Their show of force, they save face. Remember, it's an honor society. This is an honor society. They felt like they had done something. If all that came of what we did, I think that's one of those things where we got the best of that trade. Right? We got the best of that trade. We traded away. We got the greatest. It's like if we traded and we got Michael Jordan for a second-round draft pick and, like 2 basketballs. Yeah, we got it.
Our great American forces are prepared for anything. Iran appears to be standing down which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world. No American or Iraqi lives were lost because of the precautions taken, the dispersal of forces, and an early warning system that worked very well.
Yeah. And I listened to him today, and I thought, you know what? He sounded measured. I think he sounded real. And like, hey, let's all get back to the table and talk, but this is what the talk is going to be. There are things that we're going to ask of you that are, we're not, these are the must-haves, right? Period. Case closed. And he talked over and over again about the economic side of things, what would happen. It's kind of the same thing with like, hey, look, North Korea, you've got all this brain power here that is completely untapped. Imagine what you could do economically. Same thing with Iran. Imagine what you can do economically if you got out of your own way.
Tens of thousands of ISIS fighters have been killed or captured during my administration. ISIS is a natural enemy of Iran. The destruction of ISIS is good for Iran, and we should work together on this and other shared priorities. Finally, to the people and leaders of Iran, we want you to have a future, one of prosperity at home and harmony with the nations of the world. The United States is ready to embrace peace with all who seek it. I want to thank you, and God bless America.
There you go. So, again, I thought it was measured. I thought it sounded good. It sounded very presidential. And at least for the moment, everybody, you don't have to worry about registering for the draft. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. With all that going on, let's not forget there's another I word that is dangling out there in D.C.
There are moderate Republicans who this idea of John Bolton testifying is appealing to them. Mitch McConnell knows that. What he was telling them, let's not talk about witnesses now. Let's put it off to the middle of the trial like we did in Clinton. So don't make a decision. We'll deal with the issue mid-trial. And so now what he's talking about doing is essentially going it alone with Republicans only, organizing the Senate around an impeachment trial based on the Clinton model.
Yeah, and the Clinton model, which Schumer agreed to back then. Right? These are the rules. The rules are, and Schumer said it back then too, we're not a jury, we're like truth seekers, if you will. The rules are back then, and the way that they set it up was pretty simplistic, which is we're going to hear so they're going to have managers that will come down and deliver what they found. Right. So you've got the managers, that are going to come down come down from Congress or go across the hall from Congress, and they're going to deliver everything they found. And here's what we found. They're going to lay it all out. Then you're going to have Trump's lawyers come in and they're going to do their thing. Then senators will have a chance to ask questions. And then from there, they can decide if they want to bring other people in. As far as Bolton goes, dude, if you want to say something, they already said simple. Go to your lawyer, put it in writing, send it in. That's it. Go to your lawyer, put it in writing, send it in. But he walks a fine line because Bolton's got his pack. Bolton's still a hardcore conservative. Bolton's probably pissed because, man, he would love to have been the one that pushed the button on the whole Soleimani thing. But he walks that fine line of if you do something that many of these Republicans see as destroying Trump, that base out there is going to turn on you. It's not like the left's going to embrace you. It's like, oh, well, he got rid of the president, so we've got to embrace him. Nah, it ain't happening. Right? And you run a risk of being completely assed out in the political wilderness. So he's got to ask himself that question. What is it that he wants to do? And I think so many people out there expect John Bolton to come in and lay waste to the president because they had their tit for tat and their little cat fight. The reality is he may come in and say, yeah, well, I didn't want to get involved with it because I thought, but it didn't rise to this. And let me tell you some of this, this, and this. And I never heard that. And it may go the other way. You don't know because there's an assumption by the left that Bolton's going to come in and just destroy the president. But you don't really, if you're a smart person, and I'm sure there's some other smart people out there on the left going, yeah, I don't know if I I don't know if he's going to come in and do that. He may be playing possum. He may come in and go, ha, gotcha. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Super Beats. You hear my energy? Up early this morning. At work about 4:30 in the morning. What? Yeah, I get here early. Take my Super Beats. It's great for my heart health, circulation, blood pressure. The soft chews are amazing. Pop a couple of them, and away I go. Here late last night, because of what was taking place, up early, doing a lot of work. I love it. Loire Valley, France. That's where they get the grapeseed extract. It is absolutely fantastic. You're going to love it. Now's your chance to get 3 bags for the price of 2. It's that simple. Take a couple of them. They taste great. And like I've said, clinically studies have shown it supports healthy blood pressure levels, but Beats itself supports normal blood pressure, circulation, and natural energy. And it's great to take right before a workout. Get yours now. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Buy 2 bags, get a third one free. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you! That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable.
This is Chad Benson.
The FAA telling U.S. airlines they are indefinitely banned from flying over Iran, Iraq, the Persian Gulf, and Gulf of Oman due to heightened military activities and increased political tension in the Middle East. The U.S. government saying it prevents a risk to U.S. civil aviation operations because of the potential for military miscalculating or misidentifying those aircraft.
Yeah, and on top of that, yesterday, while all this was going on, 8 minutes after a Ukrainian airline took off from Tehran, it crashed, killing all 175 on board.
The Iranians have the black box. That will have the answers for us, but they said they're not going to provide it to the manufacturer Boeing or to American officials, and they have not said who's going to read it out.
Yeah, and at first, Ukraine said immediately it was not terrorism, and then they kind of walked that back. So there was a lot of Iranians, a lot of Canadians, some Brits on board, and we'll see exactly what it was, what took place. They said it never got above 8,000 feet. Something happened to it within those first 8 minutes. They could not. It's just a horrific incident. They said the only thing out of it that came out of it is apparently the pilot was able to get the plane away from any populated areas and crash in a field.
It appears that there was some catastrophic failure. That can be 3 things. An engine could blow up and blow apart the fuselage. There could be a bomb on board, or the possibility that it was shot down. We don't have any indication of either of those. We see that it disappeared from flight tracking, which suggests that catastrophic failure.
Yeah, so it's a horrific incident. And, you know, and you're like, okay, wait, so Ukraine. So you got the Ukraine thing. I'm like, Trump's going to get blamed for this. And then, you know, and everybody's like, well, it must have been shot down. They were shooting from Tehran. So they're closer to the border. You can't rule out terrorism. And we've talked about this, I don't know how many times. It's never the above board, if you will. It's below deck that I've always worried about when it comes to planes. Below deck. And we've seen it on a few occasions in the last 24 months or so, that who is putting what on those airplanes? Who's shipping what on those airplanes? Who is able to get to somebody that works at a vulnerable area, that sympathizes with somebody or some cause that can do something, like allow them to get them something to put on an airplane? That's a real question right there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We were talking yesterday about Australia and the fires, and how many people have been arrested for arson, and the disinformation from a lot of people on the right. It's like 128 people, 38. Most of the people that were arrested were this goes back all the way to like November through now. Most of it were people who threw their cigarettes out or started fires, like campfires, when you weren't supposed to. It's 24 people that they've been interested in since these fires have taken place. But that goes back to, it's not a lie, but it's the disinformation side of things that is crazy. Because people are just, man, everybody wants to be right in such a way that they don't care if inside morally they're wrong. So sad. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Taking Soleimani out, he was the most dangerous terrorist in the world. The Department of Defense has told us that he was directly responsible for the deaths of at least 603 U.S. servicemen and women. He had directed terror groups across the globe, including Hamas, including Hezbollah, targeting Americans, targeting civilians, and taking him out has made America safer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody, as much as the Democrats, and unfortunately the tribalism we live in, when I talked to Congressman Schweikert last night, he said he was talking to one of his friends who happens to be another Democrat. He's a Republican, and he's talking to a Democrat. Yeah, because they're all friends behind the scenes. A good majority of them, they work together, but they have disassociation when it comes to their bases. But he says, we were talking. He says, it's sad that no matter who's right or wrong, you've got to stand with your side because the bases won't allow anything other than that. If I said it earlier, I'll say it again. This is a massive win for Trump if all that comes out of this is they fired a few rockets or missiles, by the way, not even accurate missiles. I heard somebody, I think it was on MSNBC this morning, said, look, for a lack of a better term, these things suck. They're not accurate. They have no control over them. And 4 of them didn't even work. But if all that comes out of this is the back channel was set up, we were pre-warned through the Iraqis that this was going to take place, and at the end of the day, we got rid of a man who not only has 600 plus Americans' blood on their hands, but in that region, anywhere between 500 and 600,000 lives have been attributed to him and his proxy wars on top of everything else that he has done as part of also starting some of the civil unrest and quelling some of the civil unrest in his country. If that's the trade-off, the Democrats won't say it. That's a win for Trump.
We are not going to get into an extended land war in the Middle East. We're not going to do it. When you see Democrats in the media lighting their hair on fire and saying we're headed to World War III, this is hysteria driven by the fact that they hate Donald Trump, because it used to be the case that we could all come together and say that when there's a terrorist who's targeting Americans, in this case Soleimani had just directed an attack on the U.S. Embassy in recent days, that taking out a terrorist targeting Americans is a good thing.
Yeah. But unfortunately, you for whatever reason now, even if it's the right thing to do, you couldn't say it. Oh, Trump did the right thing. So and they're getting all pretty much, they got a little snapshot yesterday. They'll get a full report today on the taking out of Soleimani and what they had. And if maybe the Republicans, I mean, they'll look and go, wow, this was nuts. We should never have done this. But they won't say that to their base. And on the other side, the Democrats could be looking at this, and behind closed doors, they're like, man, we should have took this guy out long ago, but look at this. Look at what he was getting ready to do. My God, he would have killed hundreds and thousands if this would have been allowed to happen. This was the right thing to do. But the Democrats' base would never allow that. And that doesn't matter who's president anymore. We're never going to have a situation in the next 5 to 10 years, I think, where we're going to be able to give the other side an attaboy and a win. I think it'll come again. These are ebbs and flows and swings. But as divided as we are now, at this moment in time, it's just not going to happen. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. We changed direction. Anthony says to me, hey, did you see what Carnival Cruise Line's doing? I'm like, no. You can't wear your profanity-laced T-shirts anymore on your next cruise. And I said, it's Carnival Cruise Line. No offense, right? I've been on a Carnival Cruise Line. It's trailer park on the ocean. It's not very nice yet. I'm just being honest, right? I said, if Senor Frogs is one of your excursions, right? Like, that's one of your excursions, is Senor Frogs. Does it really matter what your T-shirt says? It's not nice. Like, I went up to Alaska, and it was awesome. Like, they give you excursions, all these excursions you can do are amazing. And it's a crowd. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. You go to the glaciers. You do all these excursions are awesome. I've been down to Mexico. And it's like, do you guys want to go to Senor Frogs? Do you want to go drink tequila and have somebody shock you with a car battery? Carnival Cruise Line. 323-538-2423. Chad Benson Show. People worry about the norovirus. You should be worried about hepatitis. Was that a little cheap shot? Was that bad, Phil? I felt bad.
But it was funny.
It was funny. I'm just saying. CES is going on. That's always funny. What's going on, you think?
It's called Concept UFO, a full gaming Windows 10 computer which normally has to sit on a desk, stuffed into a tablet with an 8-inch screen.
So Concept UFO allows our customers to take their existing game titles and their existing game library, but be able to play that anywhere that they want.
Kevin Turchin, one of the directors of engineering at Dell's Experience Innovation Group, promises it has more performance than most laptops, and it has detachable controllers on either side like the Nintendo Switch. No word yet on when it will hit the market.
Man, gaming's so huge. That's something that should be in the Olympics. Because breakdancing, for those of you guys who haven't heard, and I'm pretty excited about it, is going to be in the Olympics.
Today marks exactly 200 days before the opening ceremony. Breakdancing will become an official Olympic sport. Coach Antonio Castillo is in charge of forming the first Team USA.
A lot of times people told me you can't make a job from breaking. It's impossible. Go to school, get a job, pay your bills on time.
2024 Summer Olympics will be held in Paris. The breakdancers will be scored on a 10-point system on things like footwork, freezing in different poses, and floor spins.
Oh, my goodness. Floor spins? So we were trying to figure out what's that, like, what's that really going to look like? Is everybody dancing in the same area, right? Same music, same amount of time. It's a very interesting concept. And what else should be there? I said, and I continue to say, parkour would be great. I think the Ninja Warrior stuff would be amazing. Like, let's get rid of all the other crap that look, some of that stuff feels very ancient Greek. The only difference is they're wearing clothes. So how about we get rid of that and we do the ninja stuff? That would be awesome. I tried that like 2 weeks ago. If you think, I could do that, you can't do that. Some of you might, but very few of you. We went to this place in San Diego, and so I take Jack, and it was like Rock and Jump. It's this really cool place, and we haven't been there for about a month or two because he loves to go bounce. And first of all, bouncing just good on a trampoline, a real one. in one of these places. You're like, whoa, this is way different than you think. But they have a new Ninja Warrior setup. And, wow. I tried. Man, it is so tough. I'm like, I'm dying. I crashed so many times. And I was so sore the next day. I was like, this is awful. I don't know. And like Jack, my son's a hell of an athlete. And they've got like a very little, like for the little, it was tough. The easiest thing to do was to run up that wall. Not for me, but for him. So that was the easiest. And they put that last because by the time you get to those Ninja Warrior things, you kind of get to the end of that, it is so, you're exhausted. So what should be something you would do right from the jump, easy as can be, it's crushing. But man, it is, man, just try, like, when's the last time you tried to do, like, you were a kid growing up, you had monkey bars, right? Like when you were kids and you would swing from, bar to bar. When's the last time you tried that?
Oh, not in a long time.
I tried that a month ago because we have one of those workout, like, parks across the street where they've got all the little stations set up. I thought, oh, this will be fun. I tried it, and I thought I dislocated both shoulders on the first go. I didn't even get to the third one. I'm like, I'm done. It's tough. It is tough, but that would be great. Parkour, skateboarding, all those things, and there's something about, as an athlete, right? There is something still that has, there's this, even though it still feels old, right? The Olympics, compared to, like, get the X Games now, and you've got all these things. There's still something about an Olympic gold medal, right? I mean, you saw, you see the tennis players that are going and playing now. They had golf in the last one. Why? They were all trying to get into it. Why? Because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and there's still something about building your brand on top of the fact that it's once every 4 years, and you may get one shot at it. It's not like the Masters, where you may play golf for 20 years on the PGA Tour, and you may have 18 or 20 shots at the Masters. You may get one chance at this. And that Olympic gold medal, and when you hear these people talk about their Olympic gold medal who play professional sports, they'll say it's still the thing they're most proud of. Because there's a mystique about it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from every single one of you. The Pope! Not sexy.
Italians have less sex when the Pope comes to visit their town because they feel guilty about possible abortions. At least that's the explanation two UK-based economists have come up with after studying dozens of papal visits to Italian towns by Pope John Paul II and Benedict XVI. The researchers checked medical records in areas visited by the Pope and found a drop of 10 to 20% in abortion rates, starting from the third month after his visit.
Isn't that weird? People feel guilty. It's like, hey, babe, I'm feeling a little frisky, but Pope's going to be here, so we're just going to, how about we just Netflix and really relax tonight? Oh, Jamela. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You tweet at me. 60-day money-back guarantee on the best towels around. You'll not even come close to exercising that because these towels are amazing. MyPillow's towels are incredible. Incredible! Extra soft, super absorbent, luxury feel, and look, 5 designer colors, right? So you get 5 different choices to choose from. Huge towels, 30 by 56 inch bath towels, 16 by 30 hand towels, and washcloths made in the USA. Best cotton, 100% USA cotton. There's no fillers, there's no cheap softeners. And again, a 60-day money-back guarantee. I have these towels. You will love them. Limited time offer. You're going to save 30%. How do you do it? Simple. Go to MyPillow.com. There's a new radio listener special box. You click on that, enter code Benson, and away you go. You can save big on all of the other things they have there. You will love these things. MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com. Use that promo code Benson or call 800-983-4975. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Do you give this president, the benefit of the doubt when he says there was intelligence of an imminent attack?
I don't give him the benefit of the doubt of anything.
You don't believe him?
He's not been, well, he could be true, but I don't give him the benefit of the doubt because he's lied so much about virtually everything.
Yeah, I understand why people think that. But here's my thing. Let's just say the evidence is real. Would you say that was a good move? No. In this tribal world that we live in, with our bases being so far apart and us now identifying as red or blue, and I'm not talking about the average exhausted majority, most of you guys listening out there that aren't insane and could look and go, I gave all the kudos in the world when Obama gave the green light to go out and take out Osama bin Laden. And it was symbolic. At that point in time, he wasn't doing anything right. He had like 6,000 Viagra pills, all kinds of nudie magazines and videos. And he was just, it was symbolic. But it was necessary. And damn Skippy, he did it. And rock and roll, he sent it. And because at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. We go back to, was it Operation Talon or whatever with Jimmy Carter and the failed mission in Iran that killed our soldiers, the helicopters, and the buck stops with you. They do the work, but at the end of the day, the American people are going to look at you as the person that sanctioned it. And Obama did it. Hell yeah, he should get credit. 110%. High fives all over the board. But in this day and age, I don't think anybody of the loud screaming right and left would allow their base to hear somebody give the other side credit at all. The only time you're allowed to do it is when that person's either passed on or is no longer with us, in the sense that they're still alive, but they've left the building. Then maybe you could say something nice about them. That's the only time anymore. And that's sad. That is very, very sad. Reagan's, we get a lot more done if nobody cares who gets the credit. That's a real thing. But today, they'd rather get nothing done than allow somebody else to have the credit. And that's a sad, sad situation. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Cigarettes, not good.
A study from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem found smoking cigarettes caused a significant change in mood for those in college. A total of 2,138 students were surveyed, and depression was rated 8 to 10% higher in never smokers compared to students who smoked. Physicality was also measured, and students who never smoked, on average, rated higher than those who smoked. Data confirmed studies done previously that showed a link between mood and smoking tobacco.
Yeah, it's not good for you. It's not. I mean, I think we know that now, right? Could we just, and people out there that smoke, not everybody, but a lot of people, there was that study that came out on how much money that people spend on vices, gambling, drinking, smoking. And it shows that people in the lower economic bracket were spending more money on those things and had a higher percentage of use than people in higher, and a lot of it has to do with decisions along the way. That's real. People don't want to talk about that because I'm saying it. But in this day and age, Chad, we wouldn't say anything about that. But no, that's a very real thing. You're making less money. Chances are along the way, maybe, just maybe, you've made a few poor decisions, right? There's a lot that goes into it. But it's just not good for you. And there's also, chances are, a lot of people who smoke probably aren't uber athletic as far as maybe they used to be, but they're not running around all day. And that, you're moving, you've got exercise, you got endorphins, it's good for you. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.